Hello, hey everyone. Thanks for joining. My name's Andrew Hewitt, and I am the founder and CEO of Yohdev. And John, thanks for inviting me to speak. We had a great conversation on your podcast. It was awesome. And today I'm going to go over some AI apps. It's really a general kind of vague topic, but I start to niche down on some things, and I think you'll find this presentation, and I have a demo at the end. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. I'll start off with a little bit about about myself, about my company, what we do, where I'm coming from. Then we'll get into a little bit more about AI apps, some of the workflows that we're doing at Yohdev, and then I can show a demo at the end of something that I built using our AI workflows that we currently deploy at Yohdev. So a little bit about myself. I went out on my own back in 2017 as a freelance marketing consultant, sort of offering everything. So probably pretty similar to what you do. So anything from websites, SEO, social media, what have you. I was like kind of just that shotgun approach of like seeing what sticks. And I found out really fast that there's a lot of really good marketing consultants that have 20 years experience out there beating the streets and kind of like getting all the good clients that I couldn't really compete too well back in 2017. So we pivoted in 2018, 2019 to just offer web dev because that's really what I can do naturally, and I self-taught myself, and I started to become a partner for these marketing consultants and these agencies to deliver web development because that was always their pain point. They either web dev projects would drag on forever or it would just constantly churn. And I know like if you're tracking billable time and things like that, churning is no good in a project. So what I was able to do was I was able to go from a freelancer to a full stack dev shop. So some of the pain points I suffered as a freelancer was the feast and famine. It always happened, and the reason it happened, and it was very calculated how I figured out how this happens, is like you ramp up your sales and marketing, and then you get a lot of projects, and then you're implementing and working nonstop. And then you're not really focusing on your sales and marketing. When you come out of that cycle of doing a lot of work, you realize, I don't have any work in the pipe. Then you start ramping up your sales and marketing again, hit the networking trail, get more clients. That was not sustainable. So I started to build Yohdev, where I scaled my team, my processes, and most importantly, our methodologies on how we deliver our projects efficiently. Because my background before this is sales. So like if I can be completely unleashed on a pipeline, like $1 million pipeline, I can clear that thing in like 6 months. But we didn't have a delivery engine to clear it. So I needed to make sure that our processes, our delivery was swift. We could constantly deliver high quality, faster than our competition. And it made us very attractive to agencies that were constantly struggling with freelance developers or offshore developers not getting quality work and letting their clients down. So fast forward from that 2019 niche down pivot to, about, I guess we'll go 2022 or 2021 to 2022 when I started dabbling with ChatGPT. And now we've integrated AI workflows into our processes to where that delivery engine that we built is now like 100 to, I would even say in some cases, 1,000x more productive. We're taking like 15, 20K projects and like getting like crazy amounts of profit margin on it. I'm talking like 200, 300%. So it's pretty wild. The team's embracing it, and since we're small and lean, my AI governance SOP is very loose. So I give my team the ability to explore AI and really, give me like their findings, and then I can then go and like, my brother's actually one of the biggest R&D people that I have in the room right now, because like I'll have them go do the R&D, and then when they determine which ones they like, I'll go and play with them, and then I'll vet them, and then we'll approve them, and that's been working really well. Now the workflow is modern, like we're using modern development practices, best practices now with also AI. So we're speeding things up. We're delivering high quality dev. And I'm talking, from mom and pop websites all the way up to enterprise applications. We have some pretty big companies that we manage large scale websites and apps for. And we are rocking and rolling right now. So just an overview in AI and coding. So just a show of hands, how many people have used an AI platform to build a website or a web app like Prototype through a prompt? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many people have used like no coders in here? Is that for you? Coders? Okay. So I'm not even going to go down the road. So you guys you're at the user level where you're using tools that are already built out that use all the models and the infrastructure on the back end. We're taking it a step further, and our AI agents are right in our code editors, and we can communicate to them using a CLI tool, which stands for command line interfaces, where we can go into the code, go into the directory we want, and then scope the AI to just that set of files, and then work with it. And then I can go back out to another directory and work on something I want to work on, or something that I don't want AI to work on, I want to work on it. And I can have AI in my local machine working on other parts of my code base while I'm working on my own. So we're all the way down to, like, we're doing from, I use ChatGPT and like, the ones that you're used to, just to help me with admin stuff and things like that. But we're leveraging agents to build out rapid prototypes using modern frameworks like Next.js or React Native and things like that. And then we're moving those prototypes that are approved by stakeholders. Like, we can rapidly push a prototype in like a 2-week sprint, get approval from the stakeholders, and then move it into actual development and build out the rest of the application. That process, just to give you an idea, that 2-week sprint to get a prototype to a stakeholder to approve, that usually used to take us like a month or two, depending on the review cycles. So we're able to rapidly iterate early on to get the stakeholders what they want, and then the devs can focus all their budget on quality and scalability, which usually are the things that suffer when you're in a project and like you're kind of stretched for time. Like if you get caught up and you start churning on design and architecture decisions with the stakeholders, we get that out of the way like within the first 2 weeks, and then the rest of the sprints are just develop the thing and make it the best you can make it. So that's sort of how we're doing it. And really it's turning into us being able to have senior level engineers that can essentially do 1,000x productivity. It's insane what we can do there. So and just some of the things that we see here, like Rourke is an AI agent that produces React Native applications that you can publish right to the App Store right from there. This triangle is V0. I'll be demoing that today. Lovable, you probably heard about that one. GitHub Copilot is actually an AI interface that goes right into your coding agent or your coding software, and it can just autofill and like things like that. Again, the popular platforms that I just talked about, Lovable, Replit, if you haven't heard of that, that's a good one. Cursor is more like the code editor aspect of it, so you guys probably wouldn't need that, but for developers, Cursor is like kind of industry, like it's becoming like the front of the industry as far as like, if you ever heard of VS Code, that's like a really good code editor, but like Cursor is now like a VS Code that has like AI power like right into it. So like you don't have to install any extra tools or anything. Claude Code to be specific we use. That's the agent that we install directly on our local machines to work on our code. And then there's also some no code, low code platforms here that, again, we can get into this, but I'm gonna just kind of keep moving here. So pros and cons of these AI platforms that'll just build you a website or build you a web app. Pro, what I said before, rapid prototyping and like getting through the idea phase and getting a demo fast. So you're not wasting a lot of time in the R&D phase and like getting approval from stakeholders. Lower barrier to entry, so like anybody, like if you're not a developer or engineer, you can get up and get something, clickable, you can show, and then you can even hand that off to an engineering team, and then they can finish it off for you, and you could save a significant amount of cost. It allows you to be creative and explore. Like it's really low effort. Like you can just keep going and just keep tweaking and until you run out of your credits, or if you want to upgrade, it's like, ooh, $50, and you just keep going, and it just keeps going forever and ever. And then speed to market. You can get something out the door really fast using these platforms. The cons that I see, so coming from an engineer, production challenges, so scaling and maintaining it, there could be some difficulties there, depending on requirements, how many users you have on your website or application, etc. Hidden complexities. So like, I know you can attest to this. Like, he can get a mobile app to like 80% completion, but when it comes to like connecting a database, setting up the schema for a deployment pipeline to get it live and all that type of stuff, that's where the gaps are for non-coders. So there's going to be gaps. And then this is the one that I'm most concerned about, and this is why I won't deploy our applications directly using these tools, is the vendor lock. A lot of these platforms will lock you into their platform. So if you use Lovable or Replit or whatever, and you decide to host it there, then host the database there and all this other stuff, you're now tied into them, into their ecosystem. As your app scales, you're eventually going to hit their enterprise tier, and you don't know what that price is. It's like, contact us for enterprise type of a situation. So I don't like the vendor lock. I'd much rather use these platforms to get us to where we need to be for MVP than move it over to our own GitHub and then set up our own infrastructure to manage. It's a lot better that way. Security concerns, you have limited control over the code that you generate. So like sometimes we're finding that, so at a really high level, when you're locked into these platforms, you're very limited on what you can and can't do with like security protocols. So like if you have to pass certain tests for, say, like a really big CTO for a company that like wants to pass these certain tests, a lot of these platforms will not let you do that unless you're on enterprise and you tell them, hey, I need to pass these tests, otherwise we can't deploy this. So you got to have some money in order to do that kind of stuff. And then again, the long-term cost. Platform fees can sometimes exceed the custom development when you're at scale. So when you're at scale, because you're still going to need a technical person to work on it to some extent, so you're still going to have some overhead there, but then you're also going to have to deal with platform fees and enterprise type level fees there. So that's my pros and cons for working with these platforms and then also deploying and like kind of keeping them on there.
So is that like token costs, or will it be like Lovable has even more?
Well, like it's like when you actually go and you deploy like all the infrastructure, like the hosting and all that type of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Like as your app scales up, like you're going to scale up on their tiers. So not only the AI tokens for like working on it and things like that, but then like the hosting, the storage, the compute that it's going to take, or all that other stuff. It's gonna cost, and it's gonna be all through that platform. You're not going to be able to control your infrastructure like on Google Cloud or AWS or something like that. So that's what that is.
Don't most of those tools allow you to download that code before you get to the point?
And that's what we would. That's how we do it. That's how we prefer to do it. So when we get it as far as we can get it, and then we move it to our own GitHub, and then we then can pull that repo down locally and then work on it with those agents that I was just telling you about, like Claude code right there locally to take it the rest of the way. Because a lot of these platforms, I'm going to get in the weeds here for a minute, but a lot of these platforms, like I tried messing with them, like say, hey, can you Dockerize this application for horizontal scaling or whatever, and like it can't, it struggles. So like, but Claude Code's really good at Docker and like spinning up local dev workflows so that our team can work on it efficiently. So, that's kind of where we're at with that. But this is a kind of an overview of our current AI workflow. So we use platforms like V0, Lovable, Replit, Rourke to produce rapid mock-ups and prototypes and concept validation so that we can get our stakeholder buy-in fast, so that we can get to the development phase much sooner. Then we migrate our code to GitHub and move it down to local development. And we use CLI coding agents like Claude Code to maintain version control and our engineering best practices to make sure that, now an actual engineer is working with it. So when you're prompting it and you're working with it, like you're going to basically build it and refactor it the way you would want to do it as an engineer. And then we would deploy using a proper CI/CD, which stands for continuous integration, continuous deployment pipelines, meaning that we have a way for our dev team to hook into the code base to push features, approve them, and deploy them without us having to do any manual work. So like a feature goes up, we open up what's called a pull request or a merge request, and then a preview link of the app in that current state of those new features that we're working on is shown to a project manager. We can approve it, client can then approve it, and then we merge, and then it auto deploys, and it just goes live. So we set up our CI/CD pipelines there, and then we have post-launch maintenance and we use a tool. I'm playing with a tool called Codex from ChatGPT, where you literally just assign it work and connect it to a GitHub repo. It works on the work, and then it opens the pull request itself. And then an engineer just reviews its work and merges it. So we're not even touching the code in that stage. Codex is really good for just bug fixes and basic enhancements and after you deploy. And there's some other ones out there that can do similar things to Codex, but that's our workflow. So these app platforms, we take from a prototype phase right into development in a rapid manner. Then we Dockerize them and get pipelines in place for deployment and QA. Then we launch, and then we use other agents to help monitor the code, find bugs, and squash the bugs for us. Any questions on our Yohdev AI workflow? This is obviously a high level, but cool. All right, so this is probably what everybody wants to see. So live example preview. So I created, based on John's inspiration, an AI quiz generator for professors. So essentially, professors of a college institution, in this case, could upload course material. They could generate custom quizzes almost instantaneously. It actually allows the students to do it themselves. So imagine professor uploads the course material, uploads everything that's going to be on the next test. Then you as a student can go and generate a test exam or a test quiz, take the quiz, and then see your results. And I built that today, just to let you know that. So the target's really professors and educational institutions. The AI features include, so I connected to using ChatGPT's, OpenAI's API, and then I used a backend. Is anyone familiar with what RAG is? Yeah. Well, you are because of the podcast, but. Yeah. RAG it stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Essentially, what it is in a nutshell, when you upload those PDFs and those text things to ChatGPT, the backend RAG service will parse all that data, and then it'll chunk it and it'll index it based on keywords and based on what it understands this portion of your document being. What that does is it allows your AI model to find what it's looking for quicker. So instead of scanning the whole PDF, it scans the chunks and finds the keywords and then drills into that part of the PDF to get the information to generate what it needs. So all that's set up in this demo. Total billable time on this project, 1 hour. All right, so let's build it. So first I want to show John's proof of concept here. So can you quiz me on Unit 1 polynomial? I don't even know what that is. All right, here we go. So this is all built in the UI. So this is John. John built this out with his team. I can zoom in here. So before we dive in, start light, go exam. Okay, so it's giving you question 1, right? Question 2, question 3.
So you can just put like random answers in there?
And then you can just, so if you want me to go 1, 10, 2, 100, 3, 1,000, 4, 6. Is this right? I bet not.
You using your OpenAI
No.
API?
Not. I'm using my organization's. So if you're an educational organization, you would have to buy into the organization. Like you'd have to be like UNC Keenan School Business OpenAI account, and then that's where you get the API key from, so that it's built at the organizational level.
Oh, okay.
And then you can set up. You can.
You were putting yours in, and I was like, that can run into some money. But
Oh yeah, no, it definitely will run into some money, especially when you have users. I love the energy, but I think we had a format mix-up. Those questions need letters. So I completely missed it. Okay, so that's funny. But, all right. So I think you can kind of get the idea of like what John's trying to go for here. So I'm going to go into what I have built. Okay, so I used I built this using v0.dev. It's a AI agent that builds Next.js applications. Next.js is a framework that builds web apps. So this is completely ready to log in as like a professor or a student if I wanted to go down that route. Right now, this is just what we call a POC, or a proof of concept. I built this completely in this platform, so this is not, I don't know what the code looks like in the back end right now, so I'm just like, this is the phase where we get the prototyping out the door and we get the core pieces together and we get the stakeholders to approve, and then we move it to dev. Again, like I said, this is usually like a 1 to 2 month process. So first we say, okay, welcome, this is our quiz generator. Upload documents and generate interactive quizzes. So first I put this little integration verification test here because this is in development. So I want to test my RAG setup to make sure that the back end's connected and that when the PDFs are uploaded, it's chunked properly so that the AI can index and find everything it needs. And then I also have a check for the OpenAI API to make sure that that connection's working. So we can just run the check to make sure that everything's working, all systems ready. Blob storage in our infrastructure is connected. Blob storage is how we're storing the data. OpenAI API is connected, and there's 6 files in storage currently right now. So now we can go to the first user story, which is the professor. So the professor needs to upload documents and then tag them or put topics or whatever it is, like if it's for a course or whatever it might be, like it could be for like CES:101 or whatever. That could be a tag. Let's get into this. So I'm going to do a simple one. So I'm going to upload agile methodologies. I haven't tried multiple files yet, so I'm only going to do one. And then the topic is Yohdev. So I'm going to upload an index, meaning that it's going to run through this PDF and it's going to index. I'm actually going to, let me update, I'm going to do Yohdev overview because I think that one has more chunks. So I'm going to upload the Yohdev overview, and then it's going to upload it, parse it, and then chunk it and index it so that the AI model, when the students use it, can find that information quicker and generate the response faster. So I'm uploading. Takes a little bit of time. All right, success. Documents indexed into 7 chunks. So now I can go over to the student flow. I can select my topic, Yohdev, and generate my quiz. And right now it's only a five question quiz, so it's nothing major, just a proof of concept.
This is so much better.
Okay, so now it comes in. So here's your Yohdev quiz. You can reveal the answers if you want, or you can take it and submit. So let's go through it. So who is the founder and CEO of Yohdev? Anybody? It's me. What role does Allison Hewitt hold in Yohdev? Can anybody guess? You know. Come on, dude. You gotta let everybody else play. Which tools does Yohdev frequently use to build proof of concept MVPs? This was actually outdated information. Yep. What type of content does Yohdev produce related to innovation and experimentation?
Mobile app development, maybe?
Which role is not listed among the Yohdev team members?
That's the only analytics problem.
All right, I'm going to submit the quiz. Oh, 3 out of 5. So, yep, right now.
Great, right?
Yeah, so we got 60%. Andrew Hewitt, marketing coordinator, was correct for my wife. That was correct. However, it is outdated. We don't really do that anymore. Yeah, mobile app development. Now we host AI discovery and workshops. And then we do have an SEO and analytics person. Believe it or not, we're a dev shop without project managers. So we use an engineering manager at a leadership level who put a delivery engine in place where the developers just work in it and they move the statuses themselves, and then it rolls up to a dashboard where me and my engineering manager can see where projects are. So we were able to cut out project managers. I don't know why it's changing colors on me. That's interesting.
It's pretty though. For whatever that might be.
In RAG, it refers to as chunks. So it's asking the same, but look, here's a different one. What role does Von Cucchiano hold at Yohdev? So it's changing up the information. Which tool's not mentioned as a building? So like, okay, yeah, Trello. And I don't know what happened to I don't know why the UI is I'll have to check that out. The UI is like kind of weird right now. But yeah, no, it does change. So to answer your question, like it's different every time. Does anybody have a PDF they want to test? Maybe a little bigger than what I have? All right, let me just go. I can search for one. Give me a topic.
Let's do like rocket science.
Rocket science? No, let's do one that maybe everybody can actually answer. Sports?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody, any specific sport?
NFL.
Okay.
Head injuries in the
NFL stats 2025 to date. So I don't know, that might be a hard one.
yeah, plus video.
So this is we'll use this one. The official, I like Jalen Hurts on the top.
On the screen right there.
I don't know if this is gonna work. 842.
Try it.
Gonna end up docking my API. All right, let's see. 15 megs. I don't know. We're gonna stress test the system today. Really testing the system here. So 15 megabyte PDF. This would probably be equivalent to like a digital course book or something. You know, like if you can, I don't know if like colleges give you a course load, like if you can get a digital version of it, but this would probably be the equivalent of that. So I'm very doubtful that it's going to work because it's a big PDF. But no, see, there we go. It was too big. It says embedding failed for chunk 121. Cannot read properties of undefined. So it made it through 121 chunks and it failed. But so we know where the limit is, I guess, right now. But that was a good stress test. I don't know if I have anything else we could test. I know I do have like I uploaded like an overview of agile methodology, but that's how it works. And to kind of see like where it could go, John, like you were mentioning like, oh, we're producing 4 custom GPTs per student. That's not scalable. I hate to you know it, but like this way, this is scalable because we can open up 2 user types. You can be a professor, or actually, yeah, you can be a professor admin that's like owner of an organization. So like it could be your org, and then you can add students to there. And then students would have different permissions than the professor. So the professor can access the dashboard, probably some more things like view your files, your topics, which PDFs are tagged under which topic and things like that. Probably removing things, updating things. So the thing about RAG is this is a living, breathing data source that you control versus custom GPT where you're uploading stuff and then that's it. And then like you're opening it up to the web to just let kind of, the AI just do what it needs to on the fly. Whereas with this, you're sort of guardrailing and you can kind of like consistently get the same output all the time with the same experience. So that's how this could become a scalable idea.
And at the bottom, not the top.
Oh yeah, nope, yeah, 100%. Back in the day, developers' proof of concepts were not this pretty. It would just be HTML, no style, So like the fact that we have these tools, like it allows developers to get a little bit creative too with it. Like, and I could easily just say, move the quiz submit button to the bottom of the output. And then it'll do it. It'll be easy. By the way, it did, so if we go to students, yeah, it changed, did the UI change that you suggested. This is an actual potential product. So like we're using actual infrastructure here that can scale. So like this is built to like, again, add data structure like organization, professor, or classes, professors, students, and kind of like, however we need to structure that data depending on how we want to do it. And then each user is scoped to whatever we determine they want to be scoped to. So what you're doing is you're just spinning up custom GPTs and sharing them with people. Like this is an actual web app. You're not going to get the interactive quiz feel and building out all the custom features that you're talking about. Like imagine, okay, you hit let me just hit some randoms. The radio buttons are getting me annoyed, but all right, here we go. Submit, okay. So the idea would be like, right, like you said, like, oh, I'm wrong here. And then there'd be like a little AI, like a little button, the little magic wand thing, where did I mess up here? Like, can you help me in this topic? Click it, and then it'll open up a chat thread in the students' chats. Like we could have almost like a chat thread, and then that's where the student would interact like on this particular thread to work on a topic. And then you'd be able to tab back to the quiz. So like that. This gives you complete autonomy over your user experience, whereas with you're stuck to a ChatGPT interface and you're relying on the students to use their personal accounts and their personal stuff to be able to do it versus logging in with like a .edu email address or something. You know how like ChatGPT, when you use it, or any AI platform, the more you use it, the more it gets to know you. So it's building your user context profile. So essentially what we would have to do is like allow the professors to go through some form of an onboarding that builds their context profile. And then we could also give them a way to like configure their profile to like their teaching styles or whatever. So like that's probably, but again, that's like a very polished like V2 type of a scenario. That's not like an MVP, but yeah, it's endless. Like literally when you know how to build software, you mix AI with it, and now like that's why like I'm not tied to this at all. Like back in the day, this would have took me like 2 months, 3 months, maybe even more. But like now it's like I'm not even tied to it. It's like I have so many little things floating around. It's like whatever,
So where does the AI come in? Is it the code generation?
So the AI is generating the code,
Yep.
and then the AI is also parsing the PDFs and the files, and then chunking it and storing it in the blob. There is reasoning that happens on that. Like it determines which keywords, how to index things so that it can find things in your docs quicker. And then most of this is just standard web software development. So it's like it's just code generation, and the AI just helps us produce software quicker. And to answer your question, I think it got kind of convoluted or lost. I'm not I'm not scared at all for our jobs. If anything, it's allowing us to produce bigger impact on our clients, and now we're touching more of the stack. So it's like, before we were doing just websites and maybe some web apps. Now with AI, we're doing websites, web apps, mobile apps, and even getting into like the back end systems of things and like helping out on that. So like we're kind of, Yohdev's actually able to now expand and really embed in an organization as they scale. And we're just going along for the ride. So like our clients get picked up by private equity, and then we're just like their growth engine that just goes and like breaks through bottlenecks. The more and more of their systems, like, because like as you scale, you start to like your systems break. So having an agile tech partner along the way is really helpful. And AI is allowing us to do way more for our clients. So it's just producing more value. It doesn't actually. So it gives you pasted text here. So I planned the project in ChatGPT and had it create a prompt for me to get the project started. And then we go through, we got the clickable prototype, like with no back end, nothing was completed in just one prompt. Then I had ChatGPT say, okay, now I need it to actually hook up these back end services and make it actually work. Can you give me a step-by-step plan as you were to like, if you were to delegate this to like an engineer, on how we can implement this. And then it did it. There's step 0, then there's step 1, step 2, whatever. And then it built it out. It created the API endpoints, upload API, the read quiz API. So it built all this stuff out. So you can kind of like see where the code is too here. So you can kind of like drill into the code if you want. And then we just keep, all these platforms, they're starting to integrate with different services. But that's where, like, so V0, for instance, is really good at front-end stuff and the back-end services that it already integrated with. If we wanted to, like, say, work with QuickBooks API or something that's, like, not easily integrated, because QuickBooks API is, in my opinion, really hard to work with. It's kind of trash. We would pull this project over to GitHub and then start working locally, and we would utilize agents like Claude Code. So I would say like what I get out of AI is that no matter what industry you're in, whether you're a software engineer, marketing consultant, legal, finance, if you're really good at what you do and you use AI, you're going to be able to create much more impact, much more value, much more revenue. For those that you might be afraid of, that are coming into the space because of AI, don't be afraid of them, because you having the experience is going to be, you're already light years ahead of somebody coming in new and trying to leverage AI to get to undercut the market or whatever. Like, I don't know, like for instance, like I hired my first leadership level person, very expensive for me. I was like not used to it, but the output we get out of a leadership level person and out of a senior engineer is insane now. Like it's like it more than pays back the salaries because of what we can produce and the profit margins that we're producing now. So, and that's it. So that's yeah.